think they have the superior lineup here in this game.
There's only one way to find out kung sino mananalo sa game number 1. It's FCAP versus Black. Casters, it's go time.
Falcons AP Brent going head-to-head against the third iteration of Blacklist International's lineup. Once again, my name is Ingan, together with me is Naisu. And we are heading in to the land of Dawn and looking at the lineups, Naisu, so far. You've been mentioning this a while ago.
Yep.
That this is the same concept Falcons AP Brent is doing up against Blacklist International.
Yeah, yesterday they had a similar concept with the lineup here. And that is noted. It's Ogwin on the Hylos again, staying revitalized, and then Few having this, fairness available to him. And I know the panelists already mentioned this. Midnight pointed out the Purifies here are going to be very difficult for Blacklist International to deal with. And I think you put it well too. Hang on. This is the third version of Blacklist International that we're seeing here. And, that's what a lot of teams do when they have 10-man rosters. Let's take a look at the emblems, though.
Yeah, similar to what happened to Falcons AP Bren during Season 8, Season 10. They also had the 10-man lineup. Even during Season 8, when Carl PZ was still there. And Blacklist so far, they haven't found their identity. They haven't found their 5-man lineup. So it's really going to be interesting how they go through the process. Similar to TNC, they have to trust the process. It's going to be a slow process so far for Blacklist.
Let me ask you this, man. How do you feel about the Joy? We saw it pop up yesterday. Unfortunately, it didn't get played through that Game 3 at the end of the series yesterday. But do you think this is actually going to be a good pick for MP the King?
Me, right now, it seems like it's so hard because even if you go to the back line again, there's the Few with the Faramis Netherrealm. It's easily going to be countered down, and at the same time, it's not. It has a lot of factors to be able to have a good performance with the Joy. Again, you have to dominate the early game. You have to have a good lead, especially for Blacklist. But with their current lineup, it's really going to be a hard game for MP the King unless they pull it off, especially in the gold lane with Oheb being a Ruby. So Ruby's really going to have a good time up against Super Marco with the Bruno.
It's so funny because, even coming to this matchup, we're like, the Filipino sniper is back.
Yes.
And then he's on a hero that just doesn't even have a gun.
Doesn't even have a So basically, he's just the Filipino.
He's a Filipino scythe right now. Glorious Pathway going to be laid down. Delar. There's the penalty zone, too, in the backside against Xord. Taking a couple shots from the hammer from Flap Teasy. First blood in the hands of Few already. And they're still going to chase him down. Xord gets hit. He's dead. He's gone. Couple of hits to the hammer as Flap picks up another kill and stands there menacingly looking at Haji. Feeling like he wants some more here. And they're going to be able to get the objective, put some pressure even on the buff. MP the King, implosion! 2 members right there for the pickings. And even with the objective taken, MP the King, Blacklist International ends up getting 2 kills.
Okay, there's your answer, Naisu. Haji wants some more, and I think MP the King wants some more too.
Fine beat's gonna be dropped. Won't be able to catch up Kyle Teasy, but hey, good response there from Blacklist International. I was wondering why 2 members of FCAP were even there.
I think the concept was they wanted to delay MP the King, especially since they already got 2 kills and at the same time the Turtle. So as much as possible, they want to extend the level gap between the 2 junglers. But don't forget, this is still Haji.
Yeah.
The KDA machine alongside Oheb, who came back after a week and a 2-day break, sitting on the bench for Blacklist. And so far, so good. They found their trade even after FCAP had a very good start. And looking back, Owen, with the high loss, the Glorious Pathway, casted right on time, as well as the follow-up coming in from Flap TZ. So far, in terms of clashes, you'd really lean towards Falcons AP Bren. But for some reason, Blacklist, with those isolated clashes that they get, it seems like they can always find an answer.
That's what they have to do. I mean, if you're looking at the lineup that they brought to the table, there's got to be a response from Blacklist International. And so far, with what FCAP just did, Blacklist International kind of evens out what those last, that last turtle fight ended up being. And so really, eyes are going to be on MP the King. How does he utilize the Joy? How does he get farmed up here? And how do they find an answer to deal with the Purifies, that Hylos combination? Part of it might just be displacing themselves. I mean, they have a very fast lineup that they can use. Joy is that hero that, typically you see just kind of zooming around, especially when the electrifying beats are popped. But even with that, Turtle's going to be up here in about 10 seconds. They're going to try to set things up. Haji's going to go in. What? The pull from Few. I don't think they get anything, though. They're just going to set up for this objective.
Surprisingly, MP the King's actually the one level ahead prior to Kyle TZ reaching level 8. So far, MP the King still on the roll with a 101 KDA. A while ago, if you can recall correctly, FCAP got the turtle, but again, the trades coming in from Blacklist was there. They also got the 2 kills. And this time, a lot of pressure coming in from Haji. I mean, they said it in the panel. It's really going to be a hard setup coming in from the Stigreal.
Yeah, that's the task at hand here. Delar too, on the Thamus, kind of the front line. Haji, look at this, already brought to half health. They're gonna jump in, force the fight. Glorious pathway drop down. Huge penalty zone though, gonna force them back a little bit further and chasing them down on the pathway. They'll get frozen a little bit further, but Kyle TZ on the hunt, jumps in with Lycan Pounce. We'll be able to find one. Haji falls, and they run to the tier 2 turret. They're gonna get sandwiched in though, as Few still looking for MP, picks them up with the Ghost Bursters. And that's tough. Objective also secured. FCAP getting a big win.
How do you play against a Faramis, Hylos, and Terizla combination? I mean, you've seen it yourself. The layering of skills was on point. They didn't cast it, the ultimates all at the same time.
Yeah.
It was proper timing, starting things off with the Glorious Pathway, then a good follow-up with the penalty zone coming in from Flap, connecting onto 4. And honestly, the Nether Realm coming in from Few was just a bonus. They didn't even need the Nether Realm at that point.
It's like an extra layer, you know? We're going to look at the replay here just in a second. Brontos, my Infinix. Look how this unfolded. This is actually the end. After everything you just explained there, Ingan, you know, everything was beautiful. And even at this point, they probably could have pushed this a little bit more, but they end up just saying, nah, let's get MP. Let's not make a mistake like we did in those first few minutes of the game.
Yeah. And right now, FCAP really capitalizing on the lead, making sure that all their micro mechanics will translate to macro objectives as well, getting a tower onto the top lane. And MP the King, so far, if you're MP the King with the Joy, this is as much as you can do. Just really try and split push. There's nothing much because you don't want to force a clash, and at the same time, you can go for those isolated pickoffs. But the problem is, Few is always present. He's like a Faramis that's a chip. Wherever he's needed, he's always there.
It's tough because the Faramis has been like a mainstay for some teams for a while. It was a mainstay, and then it became like a niche pick. And now more teams are picking it up with the Hylos. So I'm actually still surprised that, you know, we see the Hylos even slip through, because Faramis is kind of in the back of the mind of a lot of teams. But when it pairs up with the Hylos, it works so well. Like, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with the NetherRealm? How do you deal with the Revitalize and the Glorious Pathway?
Yeah, and I actually agree, because we've been saying during the draft, well, us, not the panel, backstage, you were saying that the Zask was open, actually, but implosion play coming in from Haji.
Haji again, gonna get cut off with the Glorious Pathway. Delar pops his own vengeance, jumps back in on the backside. Doesn't have enough tankiness to withstand the firepower from FCAP. And that's just gonna be a lost objective again to Blacklist International. They won't be able to deal with FCAP. Now 3 for 3 in the Turtles.
So far, wait, Kyle TZ. Use this retribution to slow down Haji. Are they going to pick him up?
Penalty zone again from Flap TZ, even though he gets frozen. Frigid Glacier dropped down, still putting the pressure on Oheb. MP the King, does he give the call to actually initiate on this? Goes in a little bit from the backside though, takes a ton of damage, tries to run away. That last hit won't be able to get him, but again, the NetherRealm keeps them healthy, keeps them together. FCAP just heavily favored right now in every department.
And now they're going to force a push onto the middle lane despite the members of Blacklist trying to defend. And the thing that impressed me the most was that was a very long clash, but we saw when the NetherRealm was casted.
Yeah.
Later, even after the clash ended. So they honestly don't need the NetherRealm. That's how much lead they've established. So far, FCAP is on the roll right now. At the same time, Blacklist actually tried to do a different thing. They tried to initiate first with the Haji implosion and follow-up coming in from Delar with the Cutter Inferno, but still, it didn't work. So this begs me to question, what does Blacklist need to do to come back from this game?
I think we have to start thinking about it because, you know, Lord's going to be up here in less than a minute. You're down 6,000 gold. You pick up a couple items that you need here, but man, Blacklist International, I feel like, what do they do? Like, you would typically say, like, oh, if Oheb, again, we built up the story of the Filipino sniper is back, but we know how much a gold lane Ruby can struggle, especially in times of you need to build up. We saw this happen even, for example, with Calra yesterday. And how do you get back into this game when you're so reliant? Oh, hold on, and this might be another initiation. Look how tanky Ogwin's going to be. A lot just expended on him, but he's going to be fine. Didn't even use the Revitalize. And that's my point, going back to it. Who is the one to turn things in their favor for Blacklist International if it's not going to be a traditional marksman, so to speak, here for OHEB. You look across the lineup that they have here, and they kind of have to rely on MP the King and Exort to make this work. Ruby is more so grab them, pull them so we can freeze them. But look at the penalty zone again from FlapTZ. They're going to force the fight no matter what. Blacklist on the run. Talar will get taken out. Super Marco still in the hunt alongside Kyle TZ. But they're happy with one. They know the Lord is up. We'll see FCAP go ahead and turn the focus.
Blacklist, it's going to be hard for them to contest for this Lord, so I think they're just going to give it up. And looking at the lineup of Blacklist, you'd expect them to dominate the early game. That's why they picked up this Ruby, as well as the Thams. Because towards the late game, you don't have a natural gold laner. You don't have a marksman, so it's really going to be hard to go for those pushes in the late game and dish out the damage that you need, especially if you have a Faramis and a Hylos. So right now, I think the window for Blacklist opportunity to turn things around is really over, honestly.
It's more so you got to get the AoE dream set of your life if you're Blacklist International. And that's got to be on Haji. You get a multiple member freeze down with Exort, and then you hope from there. Holy Shields are going to be popped. Lord's going to be worked on here in the mid lane. Still MP the King's going to join the fight. Pops electrifying beast. It's going to force the fight here into the base. Glorious Pathway comes down again. There's the Nether Realm we're talking about. But Haji has to flicker out just to save himself from getting hit down by Super Marco.
And I think FCAP's not yet done. They have minions onto the middle lane as well as the bottom lane. They're trying to get inhibitor turrets. The Delar trying to answer back, but OHEB!
OHEB gonna jump in. I'm offended, but he's gotta walk back to the turret. They're not gonna give him a chance. He takes a couple shots as OHEB does get a kill, but OHEB's gone out of the picture. And they still deal with it. It's gonna be a 1-for-2 trade. FCAP staying here. They wanna push in the base. Possibly getting this mid lane turret.
And Few just picked up a Bloodwings there, so added sustain coming in from this Paramis. And again, minion waves in the middle lane. Glorious Pathway already casted as they take down an inhibitor turret. And this is what's hard for Blacklist. They're bursting, they're giving a lot of ultimates to one person, yet they can't take Ogwyn down.
Oh, do they look for it? FlapTZ has the penalty zone. 2 turrets in the base down, though. They might just call the retreat as everybody from Blacklist is going to be back up here. So FCAP gets a ton off that first Lord.
Two inhibitor turrets for a first Lord in exchange for Kyle TZ only. And I believe he doesn't even have a Sky Piercer, so that's really worth it for Falcons AB Bren after extending the lead to 8.5k gold lead. But so far, there's still a glimpse of hope for Blacklist. Again, what you mentioned, a powerful setup coming in from Haji, paired up with the Frigid Glacier. Yep. They can actually turn things around, but then again, we have to remember, Falcons AP Brand has to revitalize that even Few rarely uses. So far, Blacklist, they're really going to climb a very, very high mountain just to overcome the Falcons AP Brand.
That's what I'm saying. For all the Blacklist International agents and fans out there, it's like throwing a Hail Mary. That's what Blacklist International has to do. And the great thing about it, to break it down a little bit further, it doesn't only have to be Haji that starts it up. It could actually be OHEB. And we've seen this on base defenses before with a gold lane Ruby. You get to a point where, you know, you go in, you grab multiple members with the I'm Offended, and then Haji can get that set with the Implosion. And that might be enough crowd control time to, you know, let Exort and MP the King work together with their kits and get favorable team fight going. But again, it's a huge wish, it's a huge Hail Mary that they have to make work. And it works better in their base, not around the Lord here. So it'd be better if they actually just give this up, even though they're trying to get some vision. Lord's already gonna be secured though, and they might get forced to fight. They always have to be conscious of that Glorious Pathway.
I think Falcons AB Brand's gonna do this by the book. Wait for the Lord instead of just using the Glorious Pathway to chase members from Blacklist. Because right now, all the flickers for Blacklist side is still up. So far, we might see a game-ending clash once this Lord comes. But at the same time, I do agree. Even if the setups coming in from Blacklist connects, is the damage, though, going to be enough? Because at the same time, they don't have the natural gold laner with a marksman. Looking at the items, it's just the Sea Halberd coming in from the Ruby that's going to be the main damage source from Blacklist. So far, I think it's really going to be hard at defense as the Lord marches in the middle lane. Well, who's going to set up first? It's going to be FCAP, but the Glorious Pathway will be casted.
Going to be dropped down. OHEB goes in with the pull. They try to collapse down on Super Marco. Super Marco finally going to get taken down. Frigid Glacier going to be dropped. There's the implosion we were talking about. But do they have enough damage to follow up? They don't, as the base is worked on. And FCAP will take game number 1.